Hey there, my name is Megan and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about 5 tips and tricks to help you read more. In 2019, I set a Goodreads goal to read 100 books. That is the biggest goal that I've ever set for myself, and I actually ended up reading 107 books, which is the most I've ever read in a year. I am very tenacious, and if I set a goal for myself, I'm going to achieve that goal. So I wanted to share with you guys who are looking for ways to read more, what I did to accomplish reading 107 books in 2019. Tip number 1 is to read books and genres that you like. Do not feel compelled to read what's popular or what is labeled as a sophisticated type of book. You read what you enjoy. If you love reading romance, then read as many romances as you want. If you love reading mystery, then read mystery. Hence the reason that my shelves are filled with science fiction and fantasy, because that is the genre that I love to read. If you are forcing yourself to read books that you are not enjoying and cannot relate to, then of course you're not going to be as willing to pick those books up, and it's going to slow your reading down. I am not ashamed during my monthly wrap-ups to be like, look, I read 5 books and 4 out of those books were fantasy, because that is the genre that I absolutely love and it helps me read more. Tip number 2 is do not be afraid to DNF a book. If you don't know what DNF stands for, it stands for did not finish or do not finish a book. There are so many good books out there that you will enjoy. There is no reason for you to continue on reading a book that you are just not into. Personally, I like to give myself 50 to 100 pages before I choose to DNF a book, because some books do start out with heavy expositions before it gets into the action, so on and so forth. So I like to give myself a little leeway before I choose to DNF, depending on the length of the book, but you do not have to set strict rules for yourself. I've DNF'd books halfway through. I have DNF'd books with 2 chapters left in them. I do not care. If I am not enjoying a book, I'm not going to waste my time reading it when there are so many other books out there that I will probably enjoy more. So do not be afraid to DNF a book, no matter how far along you are into it. My third tip is to set reading goals for yourself. Now, everybody is going to be different with the type of goals that they set, and even my goals are a little bit different. For example, whenever I decide to pick up a nonfiction book, I have to set myself page count goals. For example, I'll take the total page count of the book and I'll divide it by the number of days in the month, and I'll tell myself, okay, it's a 300-page book. There's 30 days in the month. I need to read 10 pages a day. Setting page count goals really does help me to finish books by the end of the month. But I don't set page count goals like that all the time. It's mostly for my nonfiction, because I have a tendency to gravitate towards a fiction book over a nonfiction. So I also set different types of goals. For example, how many books I want to read per month. My goal is 5. Sometimes I'll be reading a book and think to myself, okay, this is taking a little too long than what I wanted, so I'm going to try and finish it by the end of the week. Your goals will look different. You can set different types of goals. But I've personally found that setting goals, whether it's number of chapters, whether it's page count, whether it's number of books, really helps when trying to read more. Tip number 4 is to set aside time to read. I know personally I have to time manage my days, especially on a normal work day. I can easily write time in to read. Usually what I do is I will set aside time after dinner, after I've watched 1 or 2 TV shows, to read until I go to bed at night. That might be an hour, it might be an hour and a half, but I have set aside that specific time to get some reading done. I have also used timers where I have set a timer on my phone for an hour and said to myself, I'm going to read for this hour straight until that timer goes off, and I have found that that really helps me to concentrate on getting some reading done within that time frame. So whatever way works for you, make sure that you are setting aside time each day or per week to read. And tip number 5 to help you read more is to utilize audiobooks. I actually just started listening to audiobooks about 2 years ago, and before that I had never really had any interest in reading them. And I personally don't read or listen to audiobooks very often on their own, because I find that I can't concentrate and I have a lot of trouble getting into the world if it's a specific audiobook, especially fantasy, because there's often, foreign names and countries and things that you have to learn that translates really hard into audio for me if I don't have the physical text in front of me. But I have learned that I can tag team the audio with the physical book. So I will check the audiobook out from my library. The library is what I use. And I will listen to the audio while I'm driving or while I'm cleaning my house, at the gym. Anytime where I can have headphones in and concentrate on listening to an audiobook, I will use that time. And then when I'm done and I have my set time to read, I can just jump back into the physical book and pick up right where I stopped listening in the audiobook. You'll find that you can knock out several chapters of a book via audiobook just by driving to and from work every day. And it really helps me personally to get through books quicker and quicker. And I feel like if I just listen to audiobooks by themselves, I would be able to get through even more literature. That's just not something that personally works for me, but it might for you. All right, you guys, so those are the 5 tips that I have to help you read more and what I did to read over 100 books in 2019. Let me know in the comments any tips and tricks you might have that helped you read more. If you have not already subscribed to my channel, please go ahead and do so by hitting that subscribe button as well as the little bell icon so you can be notified every time I post new content. I post videos every Sunday and sometimes I post bonus videos in the middle of the week. And I will see you soon in another one. Goodbye. Thank you.